and welcome to today's practice. For today, I've prepared, and you might now all run away, a strap and a block. So both will be used at some point. The strap can be replaced if you don't have a yoga strap. It can be replaced by a shawl, a long towel, a belt if you have, for some of it. Other things I will give modifications for if required. And of course, I've got my blanket there, but rather than a prop or maybe for the knees, it is more for comfort. So we'll begin lying down on the backs, if you don't mind to find your way there. Lying down in a comfortable position to start with. Knees can be bent if you like them to be, or legs could be out long for now. Perhaps resting your arms. And I might share what we will be focusing on in today's practice. Our focus today are the senses. So everything that we sense. And that could be extended beyond the actual senses. So sometimes our intuition is informing us about things as well. You might include that if you like. So right now, as you're lying down here, there might be a lot still on your mind. Perhaps it helps to let your awareness come to the body as it's lying here, and perhaps the body that is touching the surface on which you are lying. You might then feel that clothing is touching the body as well. And perhaps even feeling air touching bare parts of the skin. You might now switch away from the body and start to listen, using your sense of hearing, looking for sounds that you might hear. It could be my voice, bird chirping outside, other sounds. You might now choose to use your hands and rest them somewhere upon your body or even the surface on which you're lying. And concentrating on that sense of touch. What does it feel like to be aware of touch? You might now use your tongue and brush it around your mouth. Usually without creating a bit of saliva, and you could then swallow. Noticing if there's any taste that you can feel or be aware of. I know my space might today be unique as the diffuser is on, but notice what you can smell. And even if you had a diffuser on, what else can you smell? And now even move away from that sense of smelling. Come back into this moment. And notice in your awareness what this little practice might have changed. As usual, we aim to stay present in our practice, taking it in with the whole being. And as you're lying on your back, you might now step your feet onto the ground. Then perhaps lift your knees up loosely over the chest, placing one hand on each kneecap, fingertips pointing towards the toes. Shoulders, elbows soft at this point. With the inhalation now, pushing the knees away, taking knees right forward over your hips. And with the out breath, keep your elbows close and pull the knees in towards your chest. Breathing in to extend the arms and out to draw the knees inwards. If it feels good, you could work with a flexion of the feet and a pointing as you breathe out. Just a little add-on to mobilize also into the feet and the ankles. Continue that for a few more breaths. And each time you're breathing out, you can feel your elbows on the sides of your ribs. Keeping elbows close, and with that working more with the triceps muscle. But also kind of mimicking the idea of Chaturanga Dandasana, that way in the vinyasa flow that leads us towards the ground. You might now choose to start changing the movement slightly, as you could take a breath in to raise the arms up and the legs up towards the ceiling. Then bring the hands in the same manner onto the kneecaps and hug the knees back in on the out breath that stays the same. Now for the inhale, you might raise legs and arms. On the out breath, we stay with the hug of the knees and the touching of the elbows. Inhaling to lift. On exhaling to draw in. Now, any of these two variations, feel free to continue. And some of you might begin to bring the arms then over the head towards the floor as you inhale. Another extension, only an option. And out breath still stays the same. We hug the knees to the chest. Now, as we're all in very different bodies, I will add another option to it that you might take or come back to any of the previous. You could extend the legs further away from you rather than up to the ceiling, adding more core strength. And still the hug of the knee stays the same. So whichever variation you are choosing, perhaps it's even a mix of one of them and another. Keep flowing for another couple of breaths. And then keep your knees hugged in towards the chest. You might change the hold of the knees to the shins, and you could slightly rock from side to side. Before placing your feet down onto the ground. As your feet land, bring the inner sides of the feet as well as the knees to touch. And apply a little squeeze between the knees so they stay stuck together. Arm variations, cactus arms by your sides, or fingertips behind the head, elbows wide. We will leave our feet and knees glued together. And as you start moving your knees from side to side, your feet will stack, your knees will stay close. We're lifting the knees back up, and on the next out breath, taking them over to the other side. So we're inhaling to the center, and we're exhaling to take the knees across. Make it more important to keep your knees and feet glued together than how far your knees get towards the floor. This is the first part of a full back release, starting with the lower back. We will now, once in balance, change the movement slightly. Hands, arms will stay the same, but feet might now come off the floor. What remains through all three parts is the knees are squeezing together, beginning to flex the feet and starting to raise the shins so they come parallel to the ceiling. And as I do, we reach about a 90-degree angle of the knees. And to check that, you can just see your toes poking out behind your knees. Now squeeze the knees tightly again. And start once more as you breathe out to move your knees to one side. As you inhale, bring them back to the center. And on the out breath, take them over to the other side. Same here, it's important to keep the knees touching. It is also important to regularly check that the 90-degree angle of the knee stays the same. The flexion of the feet will show your toes right behind the knees. And each time you come to the center, you might have a glance at these toes. As we're going from side to side, we're now more moving towards our mid-back region. One more to each side. And when you come to the center, let your knees come closer to the chest. Relax your feet and ankles and let the feet come closer towards your bottom. As mentioned before, the knees stay glued together. Movement changes here slightly. As when you breathe out, bring the knees to one side, we're also tucking them up towards the shoulder actively. We breathe in, letting the knees roll over, and with the out breath, tucking them up to the other shoulder. So now it's more like a half circle. As each out breath comes, your knees are tucking up towards one of your shoulders. Same, upper body, arms, hands remain. And you're moving towards your upper back. And that little tuck makes sure that we're getting right up there and also increasing our inner strength. One more perhaps to each side. Then come to pause in the center. You might land your feet down onto the ground. And if it is available to you, lengthen your legs out onto the floor, mindful with any lower back discomfort. Your option here could be a full body stretch as you reach arms over the head, lengthen down towards the toes, big full breath in, soften into the shape as you breathe out. Now reaching only into the right side, fingertips down to right side toes, breathing in, and then softening the shape again. And now perhaps the left side, up to the fingertips, down to the toes, and softening again. You might allow your arms now to release back down by your sides. Perhaps bending the knees again. If you like, you can rise up over the front of the body, or you might choose to roll over to your side and then come into a seated position from here. Now for our seated position, I will use a block. My choice today is more Virashasana, so sitting towards the heels, but I've placed a halfway up block underneath my hips to sit more comfortably. If you choose this seated position, wonderful, but what it is really about is the length in the spine. So you could also sit in an easy pose, one leg in front of the other, or extend the legs or even step the feet to the floor. Nestle yourself in. We sometimes think we're completely easily seated. Make sure that that is actually the case by moving your body over sitting bones, maybe moving the shoulders a bit, finding your place. I would love to continue with that theme of exploring our senses by using a pranayama or a breathing practice called Brahmari, the humming bee breath. You can rest your hands down for this, but if you enjoy a more resonating experience and would like to deeply explore the idea of sound, I will just come up to the camera and show what you might do with both hands on one side. So I would choose to place the thumb here onto the front of my ear to gently close it. I would use the index middle finger to gently cover my eyes, and then the other two fingers to close my mouth. This would be done with both hands at the same time. And as mentioned, it shuts out the senses, but enhances the sound and the vibrations within your body. So either you come into this mudra or you have your hands resting down. We'll do that for a few rounds, beginning with an in-breath together, humming the breath out for as long as is comfortably or reasonable for you, so you can still breathe in smoothly. No need to wait for me or anyone else. Just keep on humming. I will mention before the last round and would ask you after that last round to pause for a moment and reflect on the experience. So let us begin, mudra or not, taking a breath in. Next one is the last round. To notice the resonations and where they were within the body. Maybe some of these vibrations are still here. Thinking the eyes gently open, perhaps keep the gaze even low to keep your mind at ease. Remove anything that you might have used to sit upon and gently come to lie down onto your belly. Rest the forehead down onto the floor and place the hands lightly underneath the shoulders. Encouraging the tops of the feet gently into the floor so the legs switch on, the knees lightly lift. You might even notice a gentle engagement in the buttocks muscle. Keep hands gently resting onto the ground, yet holding you. And as you breathe in, start to lightly lift the head and the chest off the floor. Keep your shoulders easy, hands softly touching the ground. Notice that touch. The elbows, just like they were in our movement Apanasana, are close by the sides of the ribcage. Lower body is engaged. You might feel a length here in the lower back. And some of you might now choose to stay here, but lift the hands lightly off the ground. Changing engagement in the back muscles, perhaps a little bit more intense. Releasing hands back down if they were lifted, softening the knees. The forehead comes to the floor. Relax the body. Deep, slow inhalation. Option to sigh the breath out. And then re-engaging into the tops of the feet, legs, glutes. You might now repeat the same as you did before, or use your hands more, coming into deeper back bend. Be mindful here how you're using the hands against the mat, how far you might be going, or doing a bit less. Keep the shoulders low, your elbows by your sides. If you're stuck with the previous version, you might raise the hands now off the floor if that was a choice. Otherwise, staying for just 2 more breaths. And on the following out by then softening everything back down onto your mat. For the inhale now, push the floor away. Come onto your hands and knees. You might bring the knees a little bit further forward. Take them out wide and touch your big toes together. Adho Mukha Virasana, the downward facing hero, as you can sit your buttocks to the heels and extend your arms forward. I'm currently modifying my left arm. Feel free to do the same if there are any issues around the shoulders. Keep your forearms off the floor if that is available to you. Yet the buttocks is quite heavy toward the heel. There's a reach towards the front side end of the mat with extended arms. And similar to a downward facing dog, oftentimes the shoulders are intuitively lifting. Can you roll them outwards? Rotate the armpits to look more toward each other than the floor, and feeling that broadening sense in your upper back. You might now choose to visualize your breaths traveling along your whole spine, from the tailbone up to the crown, and back from the crown to the tailbone. Deliberately did not share which is the in and out breaths, as you might choose. Allow one more full breath. When you completed the breath, gently start to lift your hips off the heels. Perhaps the spine is rounding up. Then bring your knees to hip distance apart and perhaps choose to remain on all fours, or tuck the toes under and lift the knees up to find a downward facing dog. These are just options and only there to walk the knees or the feet forward. So we're ending at the front end of the mat. Breathing out now to roll up through the spine. In to lift the shoulders and out to shrug them back. Now, first standing posture is Tadasana, so feet might be parallel. Hands might look forward. Inner heels could start drawing towards each other. And on the inhalation, a choice to lift the arms out or in front. Lifting them up as you breathe in and bringing them back down by your sides as you're breathing out. So we're using the arms to expand into the rib cage as you breathe in, lifting up. Maybe the gaze even travels along, and on the out breath, lowering back down by the side. Arms could lift over the front if your shoulders needed that support, but maybe out to the sides and back down on the sides gives you that full expansion through the rib cage, creating space for your lungs. 2 more breaths. You completed those. Step the feet a bit further apart so you have about a shoulder distance stance. Once the shoulder distance stance is there, place the hands to your thighs. fingers turned inwards, and lean the hands to the middle of the thighs. So stay back and away from your knee joints. Using your arms to rest upon standing cat and cow pose, initiated by the tailbone. So as you begin your out breath, draw the tailbone under, feel the spine rounding, and lastly lower the head. When inhaling, lift the tailbone back up, start to drop the belly, lift your chest, and then your head. And each movement's the same. The tailbone initiates it. You're rolling bit by bit through the spine until the head is low or up. And then you're starting again with the tailbone. Slow breaths and slow cat and cow movement. Continue that for a few more rounds. And perhaps your mind is within the sensations that you feel. Perhaps the sensation of each vertebra moving one after the other as you're exploring. You might even experience more sense of freedom of movement there as we begin our practice with the full back release. Now, next time you come to round it, hold it, and slowly curl yourself back up towards standing. Give the shoulders a gentle lift and opening shrug, and then wiggle your feet back to about hip distance apart. You might now start with both hands resting in the lower back, the fingers pointing down. With this, you could feel the curve of the lower back as is natural for you. Engage lightly your inner heels to firm up your stance. Maintain that curve in the lower back, and now start to lift here from your sternum. The gaze might stay forward, or if your neck is happy, push the chin out and start to guide the head backwards. As you begin to open the front of the body, your options might be to go deeper. You could choose to come further back, but maintain that curve in your lower back. So the back bend is right here at chest height. One more breath. Then bend your knees. If the head is back in particular, bend your hips as well. The head will come up safely. Let the hands now slide down the leg and soften gently forwards towards a forward bend. Inhaling for a half lift. Exhaling to uncurl your spine. Your option to bring the hands together at heart center, or raise them up and find Charlie's Angel's Mudra, index fingers sticking upwards. I recommend arms extended if available. Same here, inner heels active, breathing in. On your out breath now, bend the palm tree to the right. Inhaling, take it to center. And exhaling, bend it to the left. Keep it moving. Stay connected to that little activity that you've got in between your inner heels. Feeling that you're actively standing, lift it out from the hips. And moving your spine sideways. Shoulders stay parallel with each other. Once we've gone to both sides evenly, come back to the center and release your arms back down. You might now change towards the long side edge of the mat and step your feet further apart, so way beyond shoulder distance even, aligning once again the outer edges of the feet with each other. Taking a deep breath in as you extend in your stance. Then soften the knees and then out breath. The hands might slide down the legs. Fancy if they touch the floor. You might use your block to support the hands. start to fold forward in between the legs. And whether you're using a block or the floor is close enough for your arms, raise the shoulders gently into their sockets. Feel the length in the neck, the shoulders parting with the ears. And your hands, if they are touching the floor, you might draw them back so the fingertips are aligning with those of the toes. Elbows, if they're bending, are bending in between your legs. And your weight sits rather towards the toes than the heels. Taking a few more breaths here. Then on the next inhale, coming up to fingertips or half lift. And for a moment, bend one knee and then the other. Keep your stance. Just limbering up a little bit into the legs, preparing us for a twist. Once you've moved enough here, again, there's a choice of using a block underneath your hand. Take an inhale, lengthen the spine forward and perhaps roll the left shoulder back or even extend your left arm. Now see if you can stand evenly on both of your feet, nevertheless, so the pelvis stays balanced. Some of you might prefer that arm wrapped behind the back, perhaps even reaching for the front thigh. Keep reaching forward here, half lift version of a twist. Deep, slow inhalation, and then soften the knees and release your arm down. On your next inhale, find the half lift again. This time you're rolling the other shoulder back. Right shoulder back, or even extending the right arm. Same here, stand on both feet evenly, maintain lower body strength. Option to wrap the arm behind the back. Then soften the knees again, roll the body down. Curl up through the spine with your knees soft on the following out breath. Give your shoulders a lift and let the arms relax back down onto your legs. Turning now your right toes toward the short side end of the mat, even if you're facing away from me. And then the left heel to the other. Soft bend into the knee on the right side. The feet starting to draw inwards, feeling again strength coming up from the floor. Warrior two, as you might raise your arms up, perhaps even to shoulder height if available. Traditionally, the palms looking down. If there are any issues, you might turn them upwards and see if that helps. Keep steadiness here and availability in the legs as you concentrate on a slightly deeper breath. Sensations of strength in the body, perhaps ease in your breathing. As you straighten the front leg, you might lift your arms up, breathing in. Release your arms back down and start to swivel your feet in the opposite direction. Toes towards the other side short and the heel to the opposite. With the heel turned out, then bending into the front knee. Stacking knee here over ankle joint. And setup is the same, but we concentrate usually from the floor upwards. Use your feet drawing inwards to stabilize further up, using your legs. And you might then take a breath in and raise your arms back up if that's possible. Let them rest both at shoulder height. Be deliberate in the fingers. Gazing point is over front hand fingers. Palms could be looking up or down. And you can also choose whether you hold your fingers close Notice which energy is more important to you, or spreading the fingers out. There's a slightly different feel to it. Stay with that feel and the support that you have by standing strong and breathing smoothly. Breathing in to lengthen the front leg, out to release your arms, and then wiggling your feet inwards as you bring them closer to a standing position. And if you like, you can turn back towards the short edge of the mat, perhaps more convenient. If you did bring a strap or replacement thereof, this will be a brilliant time to start using it. We will step onto the strap, keeping the ends long with the ball of the right foot. And please make it the ball of the foot rather than the arch. It helps with the flexion of the ankle joint. If your strap is long enough, you might wrap your hands around it once. Then shift weight to the remaining foot and take a breath in to lift your knee up. Now we're lifting the knee with the help of the arms and the strap. Sticking your elbows by your sides, the hands in fists perhaps, but facing upwards. Keep your hips in balance. Steady your gaze. And perhaps extending the leg forward. Notice if you started leaning back here, and use the strap to keep you tall. This is a supported version of the hand to big toe pose. And you might choose to alternate that pose. Welcome to stay here, but you could release your right hand and take a hold of both ends of the strap with the right. Maybe the left hand comes to the side of the waist. You could keep here straight or choose to open the leg to the side. Trying to stand tall, elbow a bit bent so the shoulders easy. Then bring the leg back forward to a bend and land the foot to the ground. Relax the arms for a moment. Take a deep, full breath in. Let a sigh come out. And not only will you still have sensations underneath the foot that was just on the strap, but also perhaps expectations towards the other side. So let's begin with it. Let go of the expectations and explore as the ball of the left foot lands on the strap. Arms are long, perhaps there's that little wrap of the hands around the strap, and shifting weight to the foot on the right. Starting to help the knee to come up. Aim for the same here if you're not dancing away already. Keep your elbows by your sides, the fingers pointing upwards, so a beautiful support. And you might from there start to extend the leg out long, holding your gaze steady. The elbows by the sides, there's still a risk of leaning back, so use yourself to strap and pull yourself up tall to stand. Perfect posture in itself. Utthita Parangustasana. But you could explore a hold only of the left hand of both ends of the strap, with the right hand perhaps sliding into the side of the waist. Notice if you've changed anything else, such as leaning backwards. Happy dancing if you are. And the last option, same as on the other side, turning your leg out to the side. Notice again, if you start leaning and stand tall, use the help of your strap. Bringing your leg back forward as you bend the knee, step the foot to the ground, release the strap and keep it within reach of your mat. Take another deep breath in while you're standing. Have a good sigh out, and with that sigh, then start to bend your knees and roll the spine downwards. We're oftentimes rolling it upwards. Now we're becoming heavy towards the floor. Bringing your knees down onto the ground. And you might choose to take your block back in as a sitting support. Legs might be stepped out in front. And I am only giving you options here. You could come into an easy pose of Sukhasana with your right leg coming close towards you. Or you could take the foot to the outside of the block or the hip and leave the right knee looking forward. Now, one version would be to stay here with the other foot. Some of you might step over, take the ankle, and some of you might even stack the knees here. If you find the previous version is accessible, stay there, or perhaps change it to an easy pose. Then take your strap again, lifting the left arm up and bending at the elbow so the hand and the strap drop behind. Now take your other hand and reach for the end of the strap. Keep your head and spine tall, looking directly forward or even closing your eyes. You might crawl the hands closer together. You might keep a simple tension on the strap, whichever works best for you at this point. Simply sit and feel like the interlace or the holding onto the strap is just an extension and support of a tall seated position, creating a bit of mobility in the arms and shoulders. Then gently release the arms and let the strap rest. Unravel your legs and briefly extend them forward, perhaps even leaning a bit back and moving through toes, ankles, knees. And stepping the feet back down onto the ground. You might now bring your left leg in close or the left foot to the outside of your block or hip with the knee looking forward. Same options here. You might keep the right foot on the floor or you might cross it over and perhaps your knees are even stacking. If any of in between is comfortable, hold there. And then take your strap into your right hand, reach it up and bend the elbow so the strap comes behind. Then you might reach with the other hand for the strap. Erect your whole spine so the head is up tall. Elbow might be pointing upwards at this point. And create either tension again on your strap or start to crawl the hands closer so they might even bind. Keep yourself tall in your seat. Perhaps close the eyes or find that steady gazing point somewhere ahead of you. While your breath is flowing, immerse yourself in the sensations caused by your position, the Mukhasana, our face pose. Let's gently release the strap. Again, please keep the strap somewhere by the side of the mat within reach. You might like it again. Unravel your legs. Also come off the block if you're sitting on one. And please keep that block by your side as well. Then come to roll down onto your back gently. And let us place the feet down onto the ground. Perhaps a comfortable hip distance. Some of you might step the feet up a bit closer towards the buttocks. Arms by the sides. I'm after a full body stretch, so if a block underneath the hips might be that little bit too much, you could just stretch out onto the floor. If you would like to come along, tilt the pelvis, raise the hips up as you breathe in, and slide a flat or halfway up block directly underneath the sacrum. I often notice in in-person classes that the sacrum is kind of a term where people are a bit unsure. It is that very lower end of your spine. So it's basically the buttocks is lightly resting on the block, and any moving vertebra is just simply hanging off it. So the block is in a good position with this. However, if you have lower back pain, you might slide it a little bit further towards the feet so that even the tailbone slips off the block. Another choice to make. Before you might start to carefully extend one leg. If you have chosen the second variation for the block, you can immediately extend both legs. For those of you that are resting on the sacrum, you might choose to stay on one or also extend both legs out long. You're comfortable here, stay. Some might lift the arms up over the head and rest in a fully extended bridge. Allowing to feel, being with your senses, being with sensations. If you kept one foot on the floor, please change sides now. For the last 2 breaths, could you visualize your breath coming all the way from the fingertips down to the toes and back from the toes to the fingertips? When you complete it, you might start to release your arms first. Then bend your knees again, placing your feet down. Now, if you have a full yoga strap, I would recommend to come into the hammock, which means that you're buckling up your strap. So you're loosely closing the buckle, but not pulling it tight at all. I think I'm doing this wrong right now. So there's room for improvement as we go through our craft section of the class. Then keep the buckle of the strap on the side somewhere. Place the strap over the upper part of your head, leaving your ears straight. Now, if you do not have a full strap today, but using other items, you might stay on this block and lift your legs up as we often do for our inversion. If you're with me in the strap, bend your knees, place your feet into the strap and extend your legs. As mentioned before, please make sure that your ears are free of the strap. The strap sits around the upper part of the head, and you could now even relax your arms. We've practiced this posture before, but if you haven't done it before, it feels a little bit worried, but once you're in it, this is a fully supportive, restorative inversion. Your legs will basically extend into the strap so that the head is fully held. With that, your shoulders are off the floor, the head is off the ground, your arms might be restful, and as the head is completely held, your neck can start to find ease. You might even enjoy closing the eyes. Stay with that position if it works for you. Use the block underneath the hips otherwise. If you're still happy, stay for a few more breaths. If you're on the block, bend the knees towards the chest. If you're in the hammock, reach with both hands for the strap. Also start to bend your knees and carefully guide the head down. Then remove your feet. Remove the strap. We will all land feet onto the ground, removing any blocks from underneath and taking a gentle pause with a few deeper breaths. Perhaps you notice you would like to stretch out. Maybe you like a gentle twist to complete your practice. And then transitioning from there into Shavasana, or constructive rest where your knees remain bent, your feet are wide as the mat and dropping inwards. Shavasana might be supported by a cushion or a bolster underneath the knees to claim your comfort. Let shoulders soften. Perhaps the gaze steady to the ceiling or your eyes closed. And as you come to rest, notice you breathe. Letting go of any control of the breath. Starting to bring attention to the breath itself, its components. The inhalation, exhalation, and these two spaces that lie in between them, the pauses, after you breathe in, after you breathe out. Now we bring awareness back to the senses, if you like. Otherwise, you may stay with your breathing awareness. Beginning with the sense of hearing, as you notice all the sounds around you. Try not to judge the sounds, just noticing them. They're neither good or bad, they're just there. There might even be internal sounds, such as that of your breath or digestion. Some sounds are closer to you, others are far away. You might now change your focus, shifting it, your attention to notice the smells of your environment. What can you smell in your environment? Smells coming in from the outside, smells around you. Plants, books. And shift your attention again. While your eyes are closed, you might still see light coming through the eyelids. Something that happens behind your closed eyes. But you might also expand your awareness and attention to that you see beyond your eye, with your third eye. Perhaps shifting your attention again, bringing it to your sense of taste. Anything that might have been left in the mouth that you can taste. A drink or food that you might have had this morning or whenever you're practicing. Perhaps noticing the tongue in your mouth, the saliva, your breath. And you might shift your attention one more time to the sensation of touch. The bodily contact to your surface on which you are. The clothing. The air that touches. General pressure points towards surfaces. Perhaps the temperature on your hands and feet. If you like to actively touch something with your hands, notice the texture. Feel that you are touching the object and be present with it. And then let your attention return just to this moment in which you just simply are. You might become aware of changes in your awareness. Changes in your nervous system. Perhaps emotional changes. Or the easing of random thoughts. You might even find a moment of stillness, with which I will leave you for a short while. You could now begin to deepen your breaths to return to the space in which you are. You might re-engage with the body in movement or stretching. And you could choose to rise to sit to join me over the front, or even rolling to the side and snuggling up for a breath or two. As you come up, you could join the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. Keep your eye gaze low or close the eyes again. Perhaps this exploration of the senses was useful for you. You might choose to come back to it, just simply listening, feeling, tasting, smelling, especially when you have moments of overwhelm. Right now, we might capture the calmness that could be within. And from that place, we bow to extend toward each other. Namaste.